evening and welcome to another McMuscles Midnight Massacre. So, I was like, let's watch The Shining.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, sure, maybe. And I'm like, but I don't want to watch the old, tired, Stanley Kubrick version.
Dusty old Shining.
I want to watch the 90s Shining. You're like, the what?
I was like, excuse you, whomst?
Had you heard of the 90s Shining?
No, and I've heard a lot of the King miniseries, so I had not even heard of it. I did not know that in 97 this thing was done, and you know what else I didn't know? How hard it would be to get one. Like a copy of this.
Yes.
So
this was an ABC miniseries, which isn't exactly the most common thing to get on DVD or Blu-ray, or certainly on digital storefronts. So you eBayed a copy, I believe.
Yeah, there was like a lot of UK sellers of it by itself, but I got it in like a trilogy with it came with Salem's Lot and It. So I was like, okay.
Yeah, because those are the three miniseries. I don't have any recollection of Salem's Lot.
It's a movie, I think.
Weird. So it has one movie and two miniseries.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. I was like fucking sold. Send it to me, but it didn't have Prime, so it took forever, and it finally got here.
So I wanted to watch this because I watched this as a teeny bopper.
Okay.
In '97, and I remember this shit scared out of me.
Really?
This. I was horrified. Okay. And
you're a bit of a wuss.
Yes. Especially
you didn't have my dad growing up.
Yeah, I know. But my parents and I, we would always like, oh yeah, no, it's on. Do you want to watch it?
If it's on TV, it must be okay.
It must be.
Okay.
Because especially when it's on ABC. But so yeah, you got a copy.
Got a copy.
We watched all 4 hours of it.
Yeah.
Because it's a miniseries. Now, do you want to talk about? Because you're the more notable than me, Stephen King expert.
Yeah.
What does Stephen King think about the original Shining?
Well, this everyone knows. So I read a lot of background onto the clauses and what it took to get this miniseries made a lot later, because the original was in the 80s.
I didn't know this stuff.
The 80s Kubrick film, which is the one thing he's spoken out against, like so hard. Like, granted, it's later on that they really fuck up his movie adaptations from some books that are horrible. I can't even talk about them, and like true King fans are like, and he doesn't say shit about it. Like he gets a credit on it.
With John Cusack.
Oh my God, Cell. That's a recent one. I forgot about it.
Yeah, I know.
And I love John Cusack. He's one of my favorite actors of all time. And I was just so like excited. And it was like, released in theaters for one day. Available on demand. Can't be that. Oh God, it's real bad. Anyways, neither here nor there. We're not even talking about Dreamcatcher. We're not going to talk about a lot of shit. But these are things like he'll get a credit on it, like producing or he'll even do screenplays. I'm like, it's fine.
Which means nothing. Producing.
He's like, it's alright. So, he talked a lot about the Kubrick version. Like, he talked a lot of hot fucking mess about it.
I never read The Shining. I never read
I have. Well, you read Doc Sleep the later.
I read the sequel for whatever reason.
Which was good. But, because it continues the life of the kid, right? But he just, like, he hated the liberties Kubrick took with it. He changed so many things, which, again, happens so often in the adaptations from his novels. Like, why this? Why did this bother him so fucking much?
Wasn't it, like, the first successful Stephen King adaptation at that point?
I guess, in the 80s, like, big time, because it had someone like Kubrick attached to it.
And
which is, like, a big thing. Yes. Okay, so I'm going to try and break down the things that bothered him, I think, the most.
Yeah, really quick, because we need to get to the other version, but these are important.
So Stephen King's a recovering alcoholic, and at this time, I think he was going in the beginning stages of his recovery when he wrote this. And he was just like, I wanted the main character, to be struggling with alcoholism from the beginning, and it to be a thing that he's going with his family to become a caretaker at this hotel during the winter, the Overlook Hotel, and not be crazy off the bat, but Jack Nicholson
is always crazy.
Being Jack Nicholson is fucking, and it didn't touch upon the whole alcoholism thing as much as he liked it, wanted it to. Yeah. It was just like this guy was already crazy. He didn't like descend into madness in this isolation and this whatever.
He was already there.
Yeah, and I'm sure there were other things too, like the big scene with the axe instead of being a mallet, which was clearly like
mallets are all over it.
Because this whole special croquet game with these huge mallets and balls of croquet, it's like a thing.
Oh, and then the
hedge maze not being like the little animals, which we'll get into that. I'm sure you have lots to say about that.
Yeah,
with the CG and this, that, which why Kubrick didn't, he put a hedge maze because he's like, it's 1980. what it even is CGI? It's not a thing. So how are we gonna make them?
Animatronics were a thing.
Yeah, but animatronic hedges in winter. Good luck with that.
Yeah, maybe.
But whatever. Also a change. I don't know if it bothered him, but like she was supposed to be a brunette, a blonde, the wife, not a brunette, and she was a brunette.
Okay, I do want to talk about that.
Little stupidities, little things like this, and so for some reason he talked hot fucking mess about this movie forever. But then they were like, well, okay, sir, or however it went. They're like, would you like us to do a remake? It's 97. They're like, we'll give you like, we'll make this happen, we'll greenlight it, you'll even write the screenplay, but you have to stop talking hot mess about the Kubrick version, and you have to recant all the fucking shit you've talked about it for the past 17 years or whatever. Take it back.
Run that shit back. I'm like,
just like, take it back. Takes these backsies. Just like, nah, I didn't mean it.
The only
I was in a mood. I was in a mood for 15
big
years.
Mood. The only thing you can say is that, you know, I've watched it again and I've come to appreciate it. All the changes that they made to my work.
Wasn't that bad.
How are you supposed to do
And I think though after this got made and put out, like, I'm not sure, I think you just started talking shit again.
I think so too.
I would have. That's what I would. I would be like, oh yeah, sign that NDA or sign the contract.
I've never seen recent things that he's like, I still hate
shit about it.
Amazing.
But yeah, so that's how, this is a little bit of the background sort of.
This was only made because they forced Stephen King to, like, play nice.
Basically. Is why we got treated.
So this is a TV miniseries, like I said. It's 4 hours long because that's how it played.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if it played in 2-hour chunks or they played in 1-hour chunks over the course of like 2 weeks.
I don't know how they broke it up. I think it says 3 episodes, but
maybe they did it that way, but like an hour and a half each. But so it stars Man from Wings.
Yeah, I had his name here. Look it up. Steven Weber.
Steven Weber
as Jack Torrance.
And there's a couple of other little notable cameos in the movie, but Rebecca De Mornay.
Rebecca De Bornay with her boring ass hair and outfits. That's why I'm wearing.
You're like,
this is not the best unit that I have on today, but it was the closest.
Plays his wife. I'm not
the biggest fan of her.
I'm a bigger fan than her than Shelley Duvall in the original. I despise her in the movie.
Okay, sure.
She's just very like that. She's very kind of just mousy. But
Rocky's wife syndrome.
But yeah, but I think it. No, I don't know.
I feel like it's the same.
But I think it's because they terrorized her on set all the time.
Oh, okay.
So I think maybe that's why her performance is like that. But I never really liked. I don't actually like Jack Nicholson. It's so maybe it's because it's been lampooned so much.
Yeah,
and it's such a
iconic
thing that I'm like, there's no subtlety to it anymore. Yeah. So going into this version, I'm like, I saw it the one time, and you had never seen it.
No,
yeah,
I don't think so. No.
So I was excited to watch it again, and yeah, since it's 4 hours, probably has almost every single thing from the book, I assume.
Okay, yeah. So that's again, my memory's foggy. Actually, a friend of ours gave me more information about this. He's a big fan of Stephen King, but it was just like it's more faithful adaptation. It's like the way you look at it is the Kubrick movie took liberties, it was artistic, it's a better film. This is a completely more faithful adaptation of his original novel. Like that's what was the demand for it, that was like the reason for it. You wanted to go back and like, I think the hotel used in this movie was the actual hotel he first stayed at when he wrote it.
Really?
Like I think this hotel was actually the inspiration for it. I might be wrong. I'm sure I'll be corrected. But I think it might be, so it was more, in that sense, already just more faithful to his vision.
Okay.
And yeah, so, but does that make it better? Because me being such a stickler for like, I always read the book first, I get so fucking butthurt and mad when it's not a faithful adaptation in a movie, in any movie, not just Stephen King. Yeah. But with this experience, I'm like, it doesn't always make it a better viewing enjoyment process.
In fact, I think it's stupid to try to adapt a book 1-to-1 because there's always going to be things cut because it just doesn't flow on the screen like it does in a book.
Like for time too.
You can just pick and choose when you want to watch a book or read a movie. Yeah, no, that's why they cut certain things out of Lord of the Rings movies. That's why they cut things out of Harry Potter things. It's just, there's just time.
What always bothered me
But this movie doesn't have fucking time to cut things out.
Yeah, it has, like, it's 18 hours. But what always bothered me with that was that, like, sometimes they cut things for time, and then they make up new storylines out of the blue.
That makes no sense.
That they follow, like, that sends me into a fit. Like that actually, I was like, fine, you're cutting it out for time.
Was there anything like
concise.
that in this?
I actually don't know, probably, but I don't think so because there was so much time, like you said. Like they had all the fucking time in the world.
So for those that don't know, it's about Jack Torrance, who is a down on his luck father who's a recovering alcoholic.
He was a teacher.
He gets a job to
Lost his job.
Be a caretaker at this random hotel. Apparently someone gave him a reference.
An AA guy. He used to be a teacher, but he's really a writer, so it's like, I'll use this time to write. Cause it's, it's because there's this giant boiler that you have to like, what's the word? Empty, do the steamy thing every single night. Do the steamies every night or else the place will explode. And that's why they need
old and shitty.
Some fool to just live there throughout the winter because it's closed during the winter.
Yeah, because it's only nice and because it's every single storm is the storm of the century on this fucking place, on the Overlook Hotel. So he moves in and with his family, his wife and his son, Doc, which I can't stand. So one thing about Stephen King's writing, and I don't like this, is that this movie, this miniseries, people's style, it's not too defined, but it feels very 90s. Yeah. Right? But people don't talk like they did in the 70s. Yeah. Which is when the book was written, correct?
I would assume so if the movie was made in 1980, so yes.
So it does bother me sometimes where people use terms like, when Jack Torrance is angry and he uses terms like, come here, you little pup! Like, shut up!
It goes down from how Stephen King is with abuse and his father called him that and when he hit him and like, there's a lot of repetition with Stephen King. So expressions he repeats and repeats and repeats.
Therefore, I would have preferred it if they had placed it in the 70s, clearly, in this miniseries, just because that makes a little bit more sense to me. It's just whenever they talked and... This isn't even in the early 90s.
Take your medicine.
Take your medicine, you little pupper. Like, stop. Please just change the line a little bit.
You would hate reading his books because sometimes it's like non-stop.
Yeah. But he slowly goes nuts because, of course, the Overlook Hotel is so haunted. And here's maybe another thing that bothers me about The Shining in general is because, is it only haunted in the winter? Is it haunted when there's only one person there? Does every caretaker in the winter kill themselves and their families?
There might be an answer to that specific question, but I think like when there's too many people there, like you don't notice. You're not isolated. You're not like alone with the ghosts.
But
there's a hustle and bustle.
But unlike 1407, do they allow people to take 217? Yeah, the haunted room? Maybe. And that's not haunted. But only in the summer.
Bitch, asking me? I don't know.
I'm saying to the room in general.
I don't know. I guess so. Yeah, no, they have to. They would lose money.
I know, but it makes no sense in terms of the setup of the story to me.
Well, I mean,
1407 makes sense. He's like, don't fucking rent out that room. Yeah. That room's terrible. And that guy insists, John Cusack insists, you gotta let me in, and I will waiver any, like, if I die, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Fine, sir, go in there. And then he, like, that setup makes so much more sense to me.
Well, I don't really know if they rent out that room. They're told not to go in the rooms while they're living there. Like, they have their own apartment, and there's the kid. Well, we're not even talking about the kid yet. Doc. And Danny, or whatever. Do I say it? I was mean to this kid's looks, okay?
Okay. So this kid does not know how to close his mouth or like his lips.
He might have an issue.
He might have an issue, but I looked at him nowadays and he doesn't look like that.
Okay.
Maybe I'll pass it.
So maybe as a youngin' he had butthole face syndrome. He's just
like this little
fine. It's fine. You know, he does the best he can.
I prefer the kid. I will say I prefer the kid in the original Shining to this kid.
Yeah, well, he's a cute 70s kid, you know?
Yeah. I mean, they try to do it with the chilly bowl haircut, but it doesn't...
The chilly bowl haircut in this is awful, too.
This kid was also one of the Little Rascals. We looked this up, and I'm like,
he's like the most 90s kid you'll ever see.
I don't know why I got so hyped for the Little Rascals movie. That shit was like in the 50s.
I don't know what's wrong with you.
I don't know. That 90s Little Rascal movie, I was hyped to that. I was like, I can't believe it's Little Rascals. Like, you know when Dick Tracy came out, and I was never even close to being born when Dick Tracy was a thing in the newspaper comics, and I'm like, oh my god, fucking Dick Tracy!
I was super hyped for Madonna.
Yeah, sure, as you would be.
I was hyped for.
So yeah,
slow descent
into madness.
Yeah. So the cook. Fuck, how do I forget every important person's name.
I think it was
Halloran.
Yeah,
Jake
Halloran.
Halloran. As they're like coming in for the winter, this cook is leaving and the summer caretaker is also leaving, showing them the ropes. And he notices that this kid, Doc, he's like, oh, you got the thing.
You got the shinin.
You got the shin. And he talks to him about it, and he's like, oh, I've never seen someone like shine so bright, and this is what I call it when you're sensitive again, this and that. And he's like, as a parting word, he's like, if anything happens, because all you guys got here is a CB radio, in the dead of winter, like, shout with your mind to me. He's like, I'm going out to Florida, fucking living it up.
I'm gonna be rolling in the puss.
Yeah. With the waitresses that all love him.
Yeah. Speaking of which, that waitress. So, just because we're on the subject, a lot of, maybe she doesn't count as a cameo because she wasn't a big thing, but the woman, I forget her name now.
You love her name. You know her name. Tawny, what's her name?
Tawny Smith.
Shawnee
Smith, who was in The Blob, which we reviewed earlier in the Massacre, and went on to be in a bunch of the Saw movies, has a little, like, I guess, bit part
like
as
one
a waitress.
line as a waitress in Florida when he's down there.
But there's also, of course, Stephen King makes a cameo appearance as he must always try to get himself over.
Get himself in there. Well, he went through such lengths to make this.
Weird, exaggerated expressions all the time. He loves hamming it up. And I didn't even know this at the time until you looked it up and you're like, oh, Sam Raimi is in this movie. I'm like, what?
I know, it's weird.
Very weird. He plays just like a gas station attendant later on in the film. But yeah, Halloran gives him those parting words. And of course, things go bad. The house gets progressively more and more haunted. And of course, Danny is very sensitive to all of the ghosty spookies.
Well, and Jack gets more and more haunted. He gets more and more crazy, you know, like blaming the kids, thinking he's doing things, you know, and the
blaming the kid? What do you mean? You mean the pup?
For like going in rooms he shouldn't, doing stuff. He destroys the CB radio. He tries to murder everyone. Yeah. Like we all know this.
There's a lot of things of these scares and stuff that go on and on. I'm like, oh, that's not in this, so that's a Kubrick invention. Like the elevator of blood.
Yeah.
Is not a thing.
Yeah, they didn't do it.
They didn't do it, but I assume they didn't do it.
And the two little girls.
Two little girls. The guy with the dog suited guy on the bed that looks like they're doing shit. A lot of
there's
the
a mask. There's a
but that guy became a thing in this version. The previous owner of whatever the Overlook Hotel is constantly wearing this werewolf mask in a tuxedo, just like hamming it up in various stages of haunting.
Let me by. No way. No one gets past Rover. I'm gonna eat you, Danny. I'm gonna start from the toes and just work my way up.
And it still goes around the same route of the ghost saying, hey, we finally figured out how to crack this guy. Let's give him invisible ghost alcohol. Which makes him drunk. It's unclear.
Well, but as they're leaving, they're like, oh, we had our staff party, goodbye party. There's not a drop of alcohol here. We're still like, perfect. I'm a recovering alcoholic. I'm totally isolated.
Great for me.
Great for me to not have any alcohol.
Yeah.
But then alcohol just manifests itself because they're really trying to get him to take care of the family.
But the motivations got kind of weird.
So that they can become whole and like take over.
But then they want his son for unexplained reasons.
They want him because he's too in tune to things.
They want to kill him?
Take him out, yeah.
Because they kept saying, do not kill him, he's important.
No, I think they're saying he is important to kill him. I don't know.
I remember a line where it's like, he's very important.
No, they wanted him to fucking murder them.
But why did they just murder him?
I don't know, they needed a real person to do it.
Oh wait, because things are pictures in a book, so they can't actually hurt me.
But then it got...
But then it got real.
And they got more real.
Oh, because the ghost got more and more powerful as time went on, because they weren't able to do stuff, and then they were able to grab things.
Because he was like believing in them, or...
Believe in ghosts.
I don't know, but this is what I have to say about this, okay?
Please.
So I have something to say. So, before they moved, and when the alcoholism was at its peak, also, he's not even a year sober, he's like a couple months sober.
Like 5 months or something.
5 months sober, anyways, whatever. And he, like, obviously was violent, because his dad was a violent drunk to his kid, he broke his kid's arm. Back in the past when he was like a teacher and he lost his job. Whatever. So the kid has these fits, and they were always taking him to the doctor, right? Because he would see things, and he'd like start foaming at the mouth, and like kind of almost like an epileptic seizure, or he would go catatonic, or whatever. So you know what the best idea is?
What?
Move your child, who might need immediate medical attention at any fucking given moment, to a hotel on a mountain, isolated, where the roads get snowed in, when all you have is one CB radio and no way to get him in or out if he has a medical emergency, which he often has.
They even have a snowmobile that they say they can't even use at a certain point because the visibility is so bad and I'm gonna crash. Yeah.
So this is the best idea of your life.
They also imply she has a mother, the wife has a mother that everyone seemingly hates,
or whatever.
and that they're not even going to drop the kid off there.
No.
But I guess there would be no movie if...
Well, because he has to be homeschooled, obviously, because they're living there from... there's a timeline on it, too. It says, October till whatever May was, right, when they reopened.
They only last till January.
Yeah, they don't even make it. Guess what? Spoiler, the whole thing fucking blows up. But, you know, which from this first scene where you see that boiler, you're like, I wonder. So... this will come into play later. Obviously it does, but...
We can recap the plot.
So these are stupid idiot morons who deserve what they get. Like, honestly...
Also, they give the kid an out. The mom says, hey, do you want to just leave? And then she says this in like November. Yeah. Do you want to just leave? And he's like, no, Daddy has a job. I'm like, fucking, you deserve this. You got an out.
I know times are rough and you got like you fired from your job or whatnot, but I'm sure
can stay.
You could have like moved in with her mom, like gone to work somewhere at a library, at a bookstore. I don't know. You could have done anything but this.
So we could recap the plot.
But then again, there'd be no movie.
I want to just say the things I liked and I didn't like about this adaptation. One, it is too long.
Well, there's miniseries.
There's too many scenes where they just didn't need to be there. It didn't add to anything.
Are there any in particular that you want to talk about, or is that part of you didn't like?
Not offhand. I just like there's just so many that I'm like you didn't really need them in there. But the things that I really didn't like in general though was like. Yeah, the CG on the hedge monsters is not good. There's one or two animatronic shots where these hedges are in the shape of like lions and bears. Oh my! They look so bad that I'm like, why did they even attempt to use CG in this shot?
It was a big sticky point, I guess.
Those things are not scary.
No, they're not scary at all.
They never do anything.
I would literally laugh in their faces.
Yeah. What I did like though was I really preferred Rebecca De Mornay in this because she's a bit tougher, kind of just whacks around her husband a lot towards the end. Just she's a little bit.
She takes some hits.
She's a little bit more of a commanding presence, and it's just very different to what Shelley Duvall was. Just kind of this mess all the time. I know it's a stressful situation, but it just gets a little like tiring when a character's just freaking out the entire time. And while Jack Nicholson does like a really crazy over-the-top job, I kind of was, as the movie went on, I really did like Steven Weber in the role after a bit. For the first hour and a half, that's just a lot to say in any movie. Yeah. I'm kind of like whatever.
Yeah,
but as it gets crazier and crazier,
he did a good job.
His progression was a lot smoother, like you were saying. Because
that's the thing, there was a progression. He was totes normal in the beginning, and he did descend into madness, and he played it up with like some makeup, his facial features, like
not too much.
He did some good crazies in the end, you know.
And the other thing I really enjoyed was this is also a big difference in the book versus the movie, The Shining from the 1980. Was that Jack Torrance gets to be a hero a little bit.
Redemption.
A little bit of redemption. Now, I believe in this version, this miniseries version, it goes a bit too far. Is there a scene in the book that you remember where it's in the future and he's getting his diploma?
Possibly. That you have to...
Because that
clock me on this, because I don't know. I haven't read it in years.
Because that seemed really tacked on to me.
It might have been like wrap it up with a bow.
Yeah.
End of our miniseries.
Because
let us know.
That knows in the 80s version he doesn't. Jack Torrance dies via running around in the hedge until he freezes to death. Whereas in this, it's much more of a spectacular send off. There's like an explosion and
now I love you.
And then he's able to give his son a chance to run away. I really preferred that because. Honestly, while it's supposed to be horror and like a thriller, it's such a downer in the original version where I'm like, okay, well he was an irredeemable piece of shit that never got his act together, and maybe that's supposed to be saying something, but at least I know in the book it's a bit more positive and that he does give a chance to his family to be like, this isn't me, and like just run away before I chop you up with a mallet. Do you mean an axe? No, a mallet. A mallet.
It takes me a little bit longer to get through the door.
Not that much longer.
Gotta smash everything in those hallways.
It was a fake ass door in this movie. He hit it once and just bashed right in. It was just like poof. There's just a bunch of sawdust.
It took him a while.
Took him a while, I guess, but yeah, I prefer those things, but it still is too long. I would like to have seen a more edited down version, maybe.
But that goes against the point of trying to fill it in, right?
It does.
So.
It's just what I personally prefer. But is there anything you particularly?
No, I pretty much agree. Like I said, cinematic masterpiece. It is not.
Yeah.
Faithful more to the book, which makes some people happy. Sure.
Mm-hmm.
And
I like Sam Raimi. In
sure.
There for a second.
Sure. I don't know. I mean, I watched it so I can see it. Like, I probably want to go back and watch the original again because it's been a while since that too. Because, like, again, yeah, those iconic shots of the creepy hallway and the girls
don't get me
and the
wrong.
blood. It's like has an eerie feel and aesthetic to it.
Yeah,
right?
like it has much better cinematography. It like technically on a technical level, it's terrible.
Wow.
It's a much better looking movie for sure than this version, but I think they have their faults and their
both of them
and their
both have their pros and cons.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So the bathroom scene that happens in this version with like a dead lady's body, I felt was very creepy.
It was.
And it was good. It held up. It had some nice makeup, and I'm like, I don't remember if that was in the original.
I don't remember either.
I don't remember. We don't remember.
We did our
anything.
research.
Yeah. But I don't remember
Don't listen to anything we say.
But I like that scene in this, and overall I was still like happy I watched it. I thought it was entertaining, but it was just
good Sunday afternoon of like
a Sunday day.
Sunday day,
basically 4 hours. So it is a bit long. I'd say if you haven't watched this and you're a Stephen King fan or a horror fan in general, I think it's definitely worth tracking down. But like we said. We had to eBay this on a special edition UK
I'll auction
DVD.
mine off to you.
Because it's not on any VOD, it's not on Netflix, it's not on YouTube as far as we know.
Not that we could find. Maybe it will be at some point, but who knows.
I kind of doubt it, unless they remake it again.
Oh my gosh,
and then they might put that out there again, I don't know. But yeah, unless you have something else to add. That's The Shining miniseries starring Wings. Starring Wings. So that'll conclude another McMuscles Midnight Massacre. I'm sorry for those that might be butthurt we're not doing the original, but I felt this. We had both at least seen it once or twice.
Not that we remember.
Apparently not, but you had never seen this version, and I wanted to see it again desperately because it scared me. It did not scare me this time
around. What baby wants, baby gets.
Sometimes. So, yeah, we will see you tomorrow night for another Massacre, and that's all I have to say, because I kind of did the order wrong.
Of what?
We'll see you tomorrow night, and please join the Massacre. This is so bad.
Please keep watching.